So Richard, we are on Fashion Street, just off Commercial Road, and we're just at the Queen's Head pub. So what's the story behind this with Jack the
Queen's
Ripper?
Head pub is the pub where Elizabeth Stride started her last night drinking. On the 29th of September, she'd spent the afternoon cleaning in the lodging house, which was a couple of street, just one street over, Flower and Dean Street. And then by 7 o'clock, she was in the Queen's Head pub, and she was drinking in the Queen's Head pub. And from here, she went back to the lodging house and then went out for the night. It's also the pub outside which George Hutchinson, the man who saw Mary Kelly in the early hours of the morning before her body was found in Dorset Street on the other side of the road. Hutchinson was walking down Commercial Street over here when he saw Mary Kelly come past her, and she said to him, "Hutchinson, lend us a tanner," and he said he'd spent out at Romford, and so she said, "Well, I'll just have to find some other way, won't I?" And she continued down here. A man came from the opposite direction, tapped her on the shoulder. She then took the man's arm. They came back down Commercial Street, and he stood under the lamp of the Queen's Head pub. And in fact, he tried to look at the man's face, and the man put his head down as he did so. And
Didn't he say he looked quite sinister or something?
He gave him a really sinister look.
Yeah.
And then
So that was probably Jack the Ripper, wasn't it?
tricky to say.
Yeah.
It might well have been. It certainly was the description the press picked up on. So when you see the illustrations in the Illustrated Police News and things like that, that's certainly his description is what.
And Hutchinson that was waiting on there. Didn't he? He was waiting for like a freebie off Mary Kelly as well. Is that right?
We don't know what he was waiting for.
Yeah.
What happened was they went over the road.
Yeah.
And he then followed them across into Dorset Street. And he waited outside Miller's Court for 45 minutes.
So
Nothing happened, so he went home.
Yeah. So that building there was Dorset Street. We've been talking about it, and you said it was the roughest roughest road in Britain.
It got the reputation.
7 murders.
Probably more. It could well have been more than 7 murders over the years. There was
Yeah.
certainly a glut of murders at one period in the late 19th, early 20th century. And in fact, it was in the newspapers an awful lot of criminal elements.
Yeah.
It was said at Dorset Street that the police wouldn't dare go down it because they were in some numbers. But then again, we get records of a lot of journalists who come over and they tour the East End, and they would make a point of going down Dorset Street in the early hours. So it's, I think it's got a reputation. Let's just say that. But it certainly did. I think it was a Daily Mail article in the early 20th century called it the worst street in London.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say that at one stage or another, virtually every street around this little area here had been dubbed the worst street in London.
I was here yesterday, and have you noticed how, if you look there, the church, Christ, 10 Bells, Spitalfields Market.
That was Dorset Street, more or less we're opposite what it would have been Dorset Street.
Yeah, obviously when Mary Kelly.
Yeah.
Down further was the police station, Commercial. You just said that was a pub, and if you look at, the little alleys, Artillery Lane and all that, that's like walking back in. So everything in the East End around there was close, wasn't it? It was like...
Oh yeah, it was,
everyone must have knew everyone.
Yeah, you think it was a very transient area, so you had a lot of people passing through. It was also the area where you got a lot of the people who'd fallen through the net. They came to live in the common lodging houses. Also, don't forget, just over there, you've got Spitalfields Market. Yeah. And Spitalfields Market was a busy market. There's a very famous image of this section of the road with all the wagons on it all coming to deliver to Spitalfields Market. Yeah. When I started doing tours in 1982, the market was still on. You'd come down here sort of on some nights, some early mornings, and it'd be crowded with people. But you've got this little knot that has survived. People say, "Oh, there's nothing left of Jack the Ripper's London," but just look, you've got the market, 1887, so that's the year before the murders. Yeah. Like you said, further down, you've got Commercial Street Police Station, you've got the 10 Bells, Fournier Street.
That's some street, that isn't it? It's
Fournier Street's like
£1 million houses. And
then you've got dominating, towering over it all. You've got this building here, Christchurch Spitalfields, and if you think about this. Every one of Jack the Ripper's victims would have looked up at that church spire, just as you're doing now. So it really does link our age with the age of the